Caring for someone with dementia is one of the toughest journeys, but you don't have to do it alone. I'm Allison Schreier, and my experience caring for my husband inspired me to create Zinnia, a therapeutic streaming service designed to support people living with dementia and reduce caregiver stress. Our research-backed videos are engaging, easy to follow, and they help ease the daily challenges like agitation and anxiety so that you can focus on connection and joy. Available by subscription on mobile and TV apps, Zinnia makes every day a little bit easier. Go to zinniatv.com and sign up for a free trial today. Use the code RESOURCE for 15% off an annual Zinnia subscription.
Welcome to America's favorite Medicare podcast, Medicare Moments, with your host, Toni King. Hi, Toni.
How you doing, Jim? We're just going to have fun today because we are going to help America. A lot of Americans, right?
We are. And today we're focusing on Americans' veterans. And I know that you really do a lot of patriotic things and help veterans, right, Toni?
That's right, because the veterans are here for us and they need help as far as Medicare is concerned because there's a lot of wrong information that goes their way.
Well, I see that today's question comes from Tampa, Florida, and you're in a local newspaper in Tampa, Florida, correct?
That's right. And I get calls every week from Tampa.
Toni, my husband Jason is a Vietnam veteran and never enrolled in Medicare Part B because he uses the VA for his medical care. He is 77 years old and retired when he turned 65 about 12 years ago. He's having heart issues and wants to go to a local cardiologist that his best friend uses and must now enroll in Medicare for that to happen. Social Security advised Jason that he must pay more to enroll in Medicare Part B because he never enrolled when he turned 65 in the year 2011. After reading your Medicare articles in our local newspaper, we need your guidance. Is there a way that he can take Part B without having to pay the extra penalty? Thank you, Christina from Tampa, Florida. So what do you say to Christina, Toni?
Well, what I can say to Christina is that Jason didn't enroll in Medicare when he turned 65 and he wasn't working. And because he's not working with True Company Insurance and he needs to get Part B, he's got a big problem. And he is going to get that Part B penalty. Whenever someone doesn't have Medicare Part B, they have to enroll between January 1st through March 31st to get their Medicare in place because they don't have company insurance to lean on. Maybe they're not turning 65. So I would advise veterans to enroll in Part B when they're turning 65 because you never know when you need to go outside that system and have their health care paid for. Jason didn't do it, and so he's going to have a 10% penalty for each 12-month period, which ends up being 12 years or 120% for the rest of his life, on top of what your current Part B premium is. Right now, it's $174.70. So he's going to have to pay an extra $209 on top of $174, and his premium will be over $384 for Part B with some sense.
So what they're doing is they're catching up, and that's why they assess the penalty. So is what you're saying to Christina is there's no way around this penalty at this time?
Right now, he has the VA. And with the new rules that are happening with the VA, they will work with them to go outside the VA to doctors. He needs to go down to the VA and work with them. It may not be the doctor that his friend is using, but it might be another cardiologist outside of the VA. The VA has excellent benefits. The VA is going above and beyond what they need to do for the veterans. My advice to anyone who is retiring and you're a veteran, please get Part B. You've got to pay the premium, but you never know when you're going to need something.
So we're going to talk about this more, and we're going to talk about Medicare supplements and Medicare Advantage plans when we come back after this short break. Don't go away.
Caring for someone with dementia is one of the toughest journeys, but you don't have to do it alone. I'm Allison Schreier, and my experience caring for my husband inspired me to create Zinnia, a therapeutic streaming service designed to support people living with dementia and reduce caregiver stress. Zinnia offers research-backed videos intentionally created for people with dementia, engaging, calming, and easy to follow. Whether you need to ease agitation, create moments of joy, or make daily routines smoother, Zinnia is here to help. Family and professional caregivers use our content to turn challenges into opportunities for connection. Accessible by subscription on mobile devices and connected TVs, Zinnia is simple to use whenever you need it. Because when caregiving feels easier, life feels better. Go to zinniatv.com and sign up for a free trial today. Use the code RESOURCE for 15% off an annual Zinnia subscription.
Recognized by feedspot.com as one of America's best Medicare podcasts. That's because of our host, Toni King, our author of the Medicare Survival Guide, the author of The Maze of Medicare, the author of Medicare Goals for You, the author of newspaper columns in newspapers throughout the United States. And she has webinars and everything. She's just a walking compendium of Medicare information. And that's why we were chosen, Toni.
I never knew that I would be a writer. I never knew that I would write books. I was lucky if I made it through my English class, personally.
Well, we are talking today about Medicare. And so we're talking about Jason and about the fact that he's 77 years old, never signed up for Medicare's Part A or B, and specifically about Part B and the penalty that he will incur. But what else can he do as far as a supplement or a Medicare Advantage plan is concerned at this age, Toni King?
Well, he doesn't have Part B, so Jason can't do anything. He has to stay where he's at and use the VA. But for veterans who are enrolling in Medicare, when they get Part A and Part B, they can go and get a Medicare supplement, which is the top of the line plan that you can get. And you don't have to answer health questions. When you're first getting Part B for the first time, you have a 6-month window where you do not have to answer one health question. So if you've got a health issue, you don't have to answer a question.
So what you're saying is, even though he's getting the penalty, the upside of that, if there is an upside, is he can sign up for a supplement and not have to answer any medical questions.
If Jason signed up and he got Part B and he's getting the penalty, and he's getting a Part B for the first time, he can get that Medicare supplement.
That's important.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes. That's a good tip from Toni. So write that one down.
And he can also get an Advantage plan. And on page 71 of the Medicare and You handbook, it states that if your coverage starts the first day of the month after you sign up, he's going to be able to get an Advantage plan, and then his Medicare Advantage plan would start. So that is a good thing. And there are some veteran Medicare Advantage plans that you can get, but you have to have Part A and Part B to get that Medicare Advantage plan. So you got to look at things. You know, what happens is the veterans sit down while they're waiting to go and talk to the doctor, and they all start talking. And sometimes it kind of confuses people.
And we've discussed this, and we've talked about this, and you can get the best advice you think you're getting from a friend, acquaintance, neighbor, relative, but everything has to be custom for your particular health needs at that time. That's why it's important to have someone like Toni in your corner. And she is in your corner to help you through these. Now, Toni, let's talk about Part D, the Medicare Prescription Drug Plan, and how that would apply to Jason in this particular case.
Well, because Jason is a veteran, he has prescription drugs through the VA. And that prescription drug plan is considered creditable, which means it's good. And he would not be getting a Part D penalty if he ever decided he needed to get a prescription drug plan, because maybe the VA is not covering that prescription. So he can get a prescription drug plan without getting the late enrollment penalty. He's got protection, and that's good. You know, I would say the good news for Jason is that he can remain with the VA. If the premium of going and getting Medicare Part B is too much for him, because some people are living on just whatever their Social Security is, that they've got a limited income, He can stay with the VA and explore his options. Talk to his local VA, sit down with them and see what doctors you can use outside the VA, because the VA is changing and helping the veterans to get better health care. And that's something good that he can do. That's important. The VA is here to help people. VA has changed rapidly in the last 10 years, I think.
Thanks for that important information for veterans. And I'm sure they all benefited from it, Toni. And let's talk about you and veterans and podcasts. So you're listening to Medicare Moments with your host, Toni King, but you were on a veterans podcast recently, right, Toni?
That's right. There's Scott De Luzio, who has a podcast called Drive On Podcast, and my podcast for veterans is on there. And it's driveonpodcast.com, and it's with Scott De Luzio.
And you can go to driveonpodcast.com and look for the podcast with Toni King and refer that to all of your friends, especially your veteran friends as well. Email your questions to info@tonisays.com or call 832-519-8664, 832-519-8664. That's a wrap for this edition of Medicare Moments. Back to you, Toni.
Well, I just thank you, Jim, for everything you do, and you make it fun. We do this, and it is difficult doing podcasts, and it's difficult explaining Medicare when you're really not taught. You're not looking at somebody. They've got to learn how to find Medicare, and they can go to seniorresource.com, and there is plenty of information on it.
Yes. So Thanks again, folks, and we will see you on the next edition of Medicare Moments with Toni King.
I will see you later. Bye. In 2009, I met a gentleman who was giving wrong information about Medicare, which cost him over $10,000. After helping him, I knew that it was up to me to start advocating for America. Hi, I'm Toni King, host of Medicare Moments podcast. Join me every Wednesday as I share tips, strategies, and little-known facts I've learned over the past 20-plus years. I put Medicare into people terms, and I want to help you personalize your Medicare, because with Medicare, it's what you don't know that will hurt you. Medicare Moments is available now anywhere you listen to podcasts.